Right.
Hi,
So,
Einav.
hi, Hannah. Let me just say, introduce ourselves. So, welcome everyone to another episode of Healing Conversations. My name is Einav Avni, and with me today, Hanna Grahm. Hi, Hannah. So nice to have you
Hi.
here.
So good to be here, Einav.
Great. So, tell me a little bit about yourself. What is it that you do? What is it that you do? Where you are? All of that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So I am a voice coach and singing teacher and also watercolor artist. And I help people to find and explore their voice and how to use it in different ways. It can be through speech and it can also be through singing. And also it can be a way of empowering yourself by feeling connected to your voice and using your voice to get to know yourself and your emotions and also feel like opportunities and more of yourself is opening up because you expand. Since our voice is like the mirror, we usually say that the eyes are the mirror of the soul, but the voice is as well. And we can listen to our own voice and get to know very much about what do I feel today? How do I feel today? So that's another aspect. But that's more a fun aspect for me to always be in tune with the people I'm working with to feel how can I help them and not just their vocal technique, but how can I help them as all of who they are so that all of who they are can feel more supported and more empowered and more playful and have fun in life with the power of their voice just being there for them.
That's amazing. And of course, we obviously met before, and
Mhm.
for me, it's exactly that thing of really how to use the voice in a different way. Like when I listen to my voice, there's a lot of the time it's very monotone, and I noticed that. Well, I know that it would be so much better if I could play with my voice a little bit more. Sometimes when I notice it, I obviously try and change it, but
Mhm.
sometimes it's yeah, sometimes it's all over the place. But tell me, how did you get into that arena?
Mhm. I have always been singing for as long as I can remember. And I started studying the voice in high school, and I've continued to study the voice, and I'm always learning more and learning more. And I started teaching voice after I got into painting watercolor because that made me feel like I was in contact with my own creativity and with my own flow, and that I can develop new skills in a way that feels aligned for me. So, funnily enough, not studying music, but instead, or not studying voice, but instead studying something completely different that also had to do with who I am as a creative being, that made me feel like I want to express myself as a voice teacher and to help other people express themselves. And that made me feel like I could let go of everything I had learned and instead use my own intuition to find my own way of teaching voice and exploring voice and helping other people explore their voices in a way that was not at all tainted by my past experiences, but that was in flow and from my own, um, yeah, the wisdom that's flowing through me,
Yeah.
my unique person. So
And
I actually got into this from just going another direction for a while.
right. And I think it's really fascinating because what you were describing, it's like, something that was maybe bottled in a way, and now you kind of took out the cork, and it's the flow of creativity and allowing yourself to be who you are. And I think you touched on something that is so interesting because a lot of the time we are so concerned about other people and what they might think, what they might say, and so even if we are very creative, we still keep it to ourselves.
Yeah.
And what you are describing is actually the opposite. It's like, do you know what? I don't even need to look at other people. It's all about how I feel and how I'm allowing myself to be free with it. That's
And that's something that I always want to come back to because I do study a lot of techniques. I study a lot of, I want to learn all of the tools so that I can help my students in every way. Using, if this tool doesn't work, I want to have 100 more. So to improve my intuition, I always need to improve my knowledge base so that I have more to explore. Yeah, I have more tools that I can, you know, that can pop up in my mind. But whenever we study something that someone else is teaching us, we lose a little bit of ourselves. So what I always try to do is to be very nerdy, learn as much as I can, and then forget about that completely and go back to myself, and then learn something else and be super nerdy, and then go back to myself and feel, how can I use this in a way that's super aligned with the person I'm working with and the connection that they have with their voice.
And maybe
So
tell me
that,
a little bit about how that happens in, in your conversations with people. How do you find where it is that they're blocked, or what would be the best tool or way to bring them into, whatever it is that you're working with them?
yeah, and that's what makes teaching voice so interesting, because every day is unique, every moment is unique, and every person is unique. So if I get together with someone, I can pretty much immediately sense if I mostly want to work on the emotional aspects and what way I want to work on. Like, do I want to be super supportive and gentle and bringing in softness and supportedness and feeling safe, and just working on breathing and working more in a meditative feeling space and opening up the voice through that way? Or do I have someone who I want to work on through emotion, but I want to empower them straight away? I want to work on just feeling their power. And that's another emotional insight that I will get. Like, every time we communicate with someone, we get all of this information, not just what they say, but we sense their entire being. So that's the beauty of it. And I get the best of two worlds, because I get this human connection aspects, and then I also get this fun voice, the sounds that we can produce. And if I meet someone who I feel like, okay, they're just here because they want to improve their voice, then I'm going to go straight into scale patterns and, completely different lesson than if I encounter someone who I feel like, oh, they need to feel seen. That's
Mm.
their main thing right now. And if they feel seen, and when they feel seen, then they can start feeling that it's safe to make some sounds and explore what's there for their voice.
Right. So people that come to you, they might come thinking, I have a big speech or presentation that I need to make, and I'm not sure how I'm going to stand there in front of all these people. So maybe feeling nervous, maybe wanting to find another way to project their voice. But then you are able
Mhm.
to see maybe beyond that, what is actually holding them back. What is it that they need to release in order for their voice to be projected in that way?
Yeah. And also, like, I can work with visualization, and I can work with melodies, and I can work with feeling like we're just playing around, playing different characters. And I can work very musically and just studying, what does this singer do, depending on what I feel like my student is craving. Like, what's that person's heart desire?
Mm.
And that will influence my teaching immensely, because this is just a sacred, wonderful, happy, playful space for us to explore. And through this space, we can do whatever we want. No one else has to. Yeah, there's no script that works for everyone.
Yeah. And that's really fascinating to me. So maybe share with me some tools or some ideas or some advice or something that people can take away if they're thinking about, maybe contacting you, or maybe thinking about
Mhm.
how do I make my voice, you know
Mm.
sound differently, in a sense, not sound, but
Yeah.
work on how it comes out. I'm not exactly sure I have the right
Mm.
vocabulary to describe all
Yeah.
of these
No.
things.
No. We never speak about voice in those terms in everyday life. So, as I see it, there are three ways that we can work on the voice with the physical aspects, and then there are a million ways we can work on the voice through the emotional aspect. And if we just want to just quickly see what are the anatomical aspects of the voice, which can be nice to just feel like it's not so mysterious.
Mhm.
So we have, firstly, the airflow. Without the airflow, we cannot produce the voice. The voice is depending on this energy source, which is basically the exhalation.
Mhm.
So what we can do there is to just feel like we're inviting a calm breath, and then we can exhale on a shh and feel like I'm present in this exhalation. And then we can just relax and let the air breathe flow in and then out again on a shh. And the muscles that we use on the shh are the same muscles that we use when we produce speech or when we produce a singing phrase. So when we just do a simple shh, we are actually working with the muscles and awakening, activating the muscles that will support our voice when we decide to start using our voice. So that's a gentle way of just preparing ourselves for using our voice.
Mhm.
And the second part, physical part of the voice, is the vocal cords that vibrate very quickly, a couple of 100 seconds and times per second, to produce these vibrations that we hear as sound. And that can be very, very pressed, or it can be very, very breathy. So an exercise there, to take an exercise on this level, is to do with lots of air flowing through the vocal cords. And then we can do where we feel it's very, very pressed. And then we can find something in the middle where we say ah, and then just relax and let the breath flow in and out. And to make one other exercise on this level is something that we can do if we want to explore our range, to have both dark and light the sounds, or these and then we can do this very simple exercise, which is that we imagine that the chords are like rubber bands, and we say and whenever we have taken a phrase, sang a phrase, or made some noise, we can just relax and let the breath flow in and gently flow out again. And this is something that we can do to make it feel like this is a really safe space, even if we're exploring this by ourselves, that we can always use a breath to come back to this nice centered space within ourselves. And then the third physical aspect of the voice is the resonance. So we can make one sound, and depending on what vowel we use, or what shape we use with our mouth and our tongue and our soft palate and all of this, we can really manipulate and change the sound dramatically. So that's something that we can play with. If we're like, I feel like I sound like a little girl, maybe I want to invite some darker qualities, and then that will change things here. If we change things here, that will change how light or dark it sounds, even if it's on the same note. If I take one note, la 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 la. And when we're aware of that, that's like this whole playground that opens up for us. So if we're like, okay, I really want to have a deeper voice today, how can I find that? And we know what to look for. Yeah.
It's really fascinating, and of course, just watching you or listening to you doing these exercises, I can feel in myself. I think especially the first exercise that you were doing, how by taking that breath and making that shh sound, it changes everything. Actually, it really is different to maybe how I would breathe and speak normally. So
Yeah,
definitely fascinating.
exactly. And
Yeah.
then the other million aspects that we can use is, what emotion do I want to send out to the world? What emotion do I want to live in my voice? So if it's like, I want more engagement, then the fastest way of getting there, of sounding more engaged, is to feel more engaged. So how can I feel more engaged as I speak or as I sing? And then we cultivate that emotion, and that will affect the way we use our voice. Or if I feel like, no, I really want to help people calm down with my voice. And then we have to just simply invite that feeling in and see, how can I bathe in this energy? And how can I let my voice be a part of this soothing, more calming energy? And that will also affect very much how I use my voice.
Mm.
So it's just this playground that never gets boring because every moment I can choose what I want to do from all of these opportunities that are already within me and this amazing instrument that I have in my vocal folds and my breathing and my resonance, but also in my own creative way of using all of this. And how to use my energy is also part of that, and how to use my emotions, because that affects how I phrase things as well.
I think it is really completely fascinating, and I think I really like that you're bringing up how much actually we can control how we sound, and how what is the message that we're bringing even without actually saying anything necessarily.
Yeah.
So it's very encouraging.
Yeah, because we already have the instrument. Now it's like, how do I want to use it? It's up
Yes,
to me. I can play around with this.
yes. Well, like I said before, for me, I sound very monotone, and my voice is very down, and yeah. So I definitely need to find a way to use it more, to bring more colors into my voice. In a sense,
Mm.
I I am aware of that.
But
So
yeah, I have heard you before and after us working together.
yes, I
And I
remember.
think, yeah, and I find that you have really incorporated a new awareness around how you use your voice just on an everyday, like whenever I hear you, it feels like it's just part of you now.
There's an improvement, absolutely. I know that sometimes I think about it as, okay, so that, and it's nearly a split second kind of thoughts, right? But
Mm.
I like it. I like that that we bring this awareness that actually, because like they say that people really only pay very small attention to what you're actually saying, and they're paying so
Mm.
much more attention to everything else, your body language, your energy, the tone of voice, all that kind of things that we bring with us to the speech. So it's great to have this kind of
Mm.
awareness. Um,
Definitely.
so what would you say to people who was, one of, I think one of the biggest fear, right, is for people to do public speaking and stuff like that,
Mm.
and they're definitely a lot of the time thinking inwardly about,
Mm.
how they're showing up, what will people think about how they present their ideas and stuff. What are some advice that you can share with people around that?
Yeah. What I usually do with people who are like super focused on how their voice feels inside and how they produce their voice, it is to be like shifting the perspective to the room around them and listening for how the sounds that you make resonate in the room,
Mm,
and be curious about that. So now, if I listen to that, I don't care as much about me as a person. I care much more about what happens with the acoustics. So that's a way that you can just shift your perspective whenever you use your voice, is to shift your perspective from how does this sound? What am I producing? To what happens in the room? Because that shifts so that you become present, more present to what
yeah.
actually happens in the space that you're in. And whenever you're present in the space, you're also more present to the person you're speaking to, and to the present moment, and to everything else that you kind of get blocked from whenever you get too centered and focused on, oh, me. So that's one thing that you can do whenever you use your voice. It's like, oh, what's the acoustics in this room? What happens when I say, hello, everyone? Is it that corner or that corner that has the most resonance? So that's like a nerdy acoustic way of listening
Yeah,
that can help with that.
that's really taking you away from the fear, and into
Mhm.
the, as you said, to the present moment, because you are able to release some of this,
Mhm.
tight feeling about how am I, what am I looking like, what am I sounding like, what are other people thinking. You're really finding a nice way to engage your conscious mind, instead of going inwards into the fears, to being
Mhm.
in the present moment, to looking for something for something else in the environment
Mm.
to help you relax and get out of your own head.
But then also, what I always do in a lesson, if I feel like someone needs that, is to just bring the presence within to their own breath, and then feel like they can relax into the feeling of being supported whenever they exhale. And just doing that with every breath, feeling like you can relax into the surface underneath you that supports you. Because it's like a physical sensation of being physically supported. And whenever we open up to that awareness and being like, wow, the surface is really supporting me now, and now, and now, and now. Oh, I'm supported this breath as well, and this breath. Then we can start releasing some of that feeling like we have to hold ourselves, because we don't. We can just let go into this feeling like, wow, my gravitational force and the connection and the surface underneath me is keeping me here, is keeping me stable, is keeping me supported and strong. And finding those feelings through some visualizations and some exercises can really transform the feeling of being here in the world. And that can definitely have a huge impact on the way our voice sounds and the way we present whatever we want to present afterwards.
I like that. It's again really moving out of your fear and into the
Mm.
allowance and into the permission to just be and use your instruments in a way that actually supports yourself and what the message that you
Mm.
want to bring out there. Interesting. So tell me a little bit about the kind of people that you work with. Who are your clients, and what do they bring? What do they bring, or what do they seek from you?
Yeah. So I work a bit with the speakers who want to just find, how can I speak in a way that doesn't tire me out? Or how can I speak in a way that's engaging? Or how can I speak in a way that feels more like myself? I
Mm.
also work with people who are like, I'm curious about the voice, but I don't really know anything, because they sense that I'm all about exploration and that I will help them to create a very safe space for them to just explore their voice. And that can be through speech or through singing. And then I also work with people on all levels from beginners to professional musicians that want to take their vocal technique to the next level so that they can express themselves more freely and more powerfully and feel like they can just, feel what do I want to express musically, and the voice is there for them in every phrase. And also that they can sing for hours without tiring themselves out. So I'm very much about finding a sustainable and healthy vocal technique for both speakers and singers, so that we feel that we can trust our voice every day, every single day, even if we wake up and having a cough, that we know how to find the maximal potential of our voice today and to use a healthy technique that makes it easy to use our voice.
Mm. And I like what you said, kind of the beginning of this conversation about basically when you know how to use your voice, when you know that you can trust your voice, it's really empowering, right? It's
Mm.
something that it's already a tool that you have in your toolbox that you don't need to worry about. You just know, hey,
Yeah.
it's there, and make you feel so much more empowered, so much more confident, so much more that you can really trust that you've
Yeah.
got it.
And the funny thing about us human beings is that the way we walk will influence how we feel about ourselves. The way we look in the mirror, if we smile, that will affect how we feel about ourselves. And the way we sound when we talk will also influence the way we feel about ourselves. So if I have a day where I feel like, okay, I want to feel a bit more powerful today, I can use my voice. I can make exercises to feel like, whoa, whoa, yeah, yeah. Whoa, whoa, yeah, and then I can use my voice to build that feeling. And that's a gift that I can use and carry throughout the day in every other thing that I'm doing. So we can also use our voice to like tell a story about ourselves to ourselves. Like if I want to be light and fun, I can be and then I can just, embody that emotion within myself. So I can also use my voice and the musicality or the speech if I want to say these things to myself instead. I can use an affirmation or a poem or whatever I like and tell myself the story that I need to hear that's supporting me in this specific moment, in this
Mm.
specific day.
I love it. It's really taking control of things. A lot of the time, in the space that I'm walking in, people talk more about how they feel, and then how sometimes they struggle to get out of the feeling because it's kind of engulfing them. So if they are
Mm.
going, if they're talking about depression, for example, or anxiety, they're very much in the feelings. And
Yeah.
what you are saying is basically I can actually dictate that. So I'm going to use my voice to help myself move out of the feelings. And again,
And
really,
into
really
something
nice.
else, like not just out of something, but what do I want to bring in? And what do I want to just choose to be a channel for? Like I choose to be a channel for more power if that's what I need. Or I can choose to be a channel for more joy if that's what I need. And then I might, just put on a happy playlist and sing along and
Yeah,
dance and just have the voice being part of that.
yeah. But I think the interesting thing is that, I mean, just to to verbalize what I'm thinking, is
Mm.
just really that a lot of the time when people are in that, whatever they're feeling, sad, depressed, whatever the emotion is, and they really feel like they can't get out of this. And what
Mm.
we are saying, what you're saying, and what I'm definitely agreeing with is that actually, when we change some of the elements that make us feel in this way, we can change how we feel. We just need to be open to this possibility that we can do something differently to get
Yeah.
different results.
And
And
that's
it's
something that I think that both you and I have experienced, that it can be so much easier when you're connecting with someone else who can hold this space and be a guide and be there for you and just being there as you explore these things within yourselves self, so that we can support one another. Like even if you don't want to have a singing teacher, just playing around with these things with a friend can be helpful, because you can hold space for one another, and it can make it easier. Or just people attending choirs often feel happier because they're all of a sudden in a community where everything is about singing, and wonderful sounds. And that's everything they're supposed to be focusing on. And that could be such a relief as well.
Yes, you're right. Actually, I've heard a lot about people that go into choirs
Mm.
to change, and that really does help them change how they feel and come out of
Mm.
the shells and everything.
Mm.
You're right. So it's just about coming to the end of our conversation. What message or what last words would you like to share with whoever is watching?
I would like to say that you have a wonderful instrument inside of you that you carry around all of the time. And you can explore this, you can have fun with this, and you can get to know this in a way that supports you as a human being, and that also in return will support your voice. So find what you want to do with your voice. How can you explore this in a way that would support you? Is it that you actually want to start singing in a choir because that sounded like fun? Then how can you become ready to do that? Is it just to attend it and do it? Or do you need to take some lessons before to feel ready? What do you need to do to feel like you're ready to use your voice in a way that empowers you more? And every one of us will have different answers to that question, but every one of us can find a way to use our voice in a way that supports us even more. Or if like we don't even feel like we're ready to use the voice, we can start with the breathing, or we can start with the visualization and get closer and closer to using our voice. There are so many opportunities for us to explore and expand our voice in this way.
Hmm. I like that. Just a nice. It's a very nice reminder. Thank you.
Mm.
And
It's
so that
such
brings
a
us
pleasure, Einav. So good to connect with you.
really lovely to have you here, and thank you so much for all your wisdom and sharing some of this. I really like to see how free you are and really able to connect so easily and so freely to whatever it is that you want to express. And I like that. Definitely something I am jealous of, and something that I would like to do more of in my own life. So thank you for being here. So thank you for the inspiration and for the wisdom. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thanks everyone watching.